everyone. Welcome to the newest episode of On That Note with Parker Whirling. Today's guests are two members of the five-piece indie rock band based in Athens, Georgia. You can check out their debut self-titled album that came out October of last year on Spotify and any streaming service you prefer to use. Before we get the episode started, please make sure to like and subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And don't forget to follow me at Parker Whirling and at onthatnote_podcast on Instagram. And on that note, please welcome Heffner. I'm sitting here with Taylor Cotton, and Will Heffner will be joining us, both from the indie rock band based in Athens, Georgia, Heffner. I'm excited to be talking with you guys. I really want to get into the self-titled debut album that you released in October of 2021. I heard Up to Speed, that song, and it's no doubt probably one of my favorite songs I've heard in a long time. It's such a vibe, like everything, all the syncopation that's going on is great. The guitars are like just gnarly. It is definitely one of my favorites, and everybody needs to go check it out. I was actually listening to it for the first time when Kelly Ringo caught the game-winning interception for the Dogs to win. It was like kind of an amazing moment that's what was playing when it happened, because I was just watching it with my headphones in. Yeah, it was like kind of an iconic moment. So I would love to ask about the writing and the recording process behind the whole album. Specifically that song, just because that's the one that I gravitate towards. But in general, in this album, was there anything that was different that you guys were doing in the recording studio or the writing process, maybe compared to different releases that you had in the past?
Hell yeah. Well, thank you. Great intro. Go Dogs, first of all.
Go Dogs.
Yeah, our whole self-titled and the few singles that we put out before it that are not on it, we recorded them mostly all the same way, which is our friends Stephen Ledbetter, Matt Martin, and Alex Stanley started a studio in like a warehouse district over here in Athens. There's a tiny little studio. It's called Gift Horse, and Matt has since moved to Nashville, but Alec and Steven are still running Gift Horse. And Alex sort of produced, and we essentially recorded it over 6 months, just a day or two at a time, kind of every other week type thing. We were just recording as we were writing. Yeah, Up to Speed specifically. That is one that we enlisted Matt's help specifically with, because he's really good at what that song needed, which was what you described, sort of like mean guitars, punchy drums, kind of, there's not a lot going on, so just really making what's there count. And yeah, Up to Speed is one of the first songs that, when we first got together as a band, it was essentially just Will, and I was showing Will songs that I was starting to write, and he was kind of playing along on the drums, and that was one of the first ideas we had, and it took probably a couple years of us almost kind of jamming on that before we got into the studio with it. And we also played it live several times before we got into the studio with it, which was not true of a lot of those songs, so I think that helped. It was cool. We did it in a day, and yeah, I love that one too. Reagan actually doesn't like that song. Well, didn't like that song until he heard it back after we were done mixing it, and he was like, okay, I admit I'm into this song.
That's funny. Yeah, I did see your Instagram post about the journey that song went through, Up to Speed, and it's wild that you guys can have a song that you wrote 2 years ago go through so many changes and phases in a journey. Oh, we got Will coming up here.
Yeah, here he comes.
Sweet. Hello, how's it going?
Hey, dude. Welcome. Thanks
What's
for joining
up?
us.
This is Will.
Yeah, Will, good to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Will. Will Heffner on drums, right?
Right, totally right. Uh-huh.
Beautiful. So yeah, we got Taylor Cotton on guitar and vocals, and Will Heffner on drums joining us with the beers.
And occasionally banjo.
Indeed. Oh yeah, occasionally banjo.
Really? I didn't know that. That's dope.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been playing banjo?
It's probably been 5-6 years now, so I do like a little bit of claw hammer, open back banjo stuff, old time kind of folk stuff. Not too much, not enough to render any major parts, but
it's on there in a couple moments.
It's
it's
on
on
it.
the record a couple times.
Which songs? I need to go back and check those out because I don't really remember hearing any banjo.
Well, there's one song that got cut from the record that Will and I both fought for but lost. That song's called One More Time, and I think we're going to put out there's 3 or 4 tracks that we recorded for that record that got mixed, but they just didn't, for whatever reason, make it on the record.
Yeah.
Usually somebody being loud about their distaste for it. But Will and I love that song, and that has a ton of banjo on it. There's a little bit of banjo in the second verse of James Kim, but it doesn't sound like a banjo. It's kind of like Will's doing like a one-note thing.
We thought about trying to mirror some of the guitar parts, but we really didn't get into it too much into detail. And also, it's kind of like a full band opinion that we didn't really want that extra little pluck.
Yeah, I gotcha. It's cool to introduce little elements that maybe throughout the album aren't quite there. It's like a little spice into something that just kind of switches it up a little bit, like banjo, or I'm about to do a song with some kazoo in there.
Yeah, that's sick.
And little things like that can like really help you stand out, and especially something like, banjo or kazoo, like it's a little bit of a risk, and I think if you do it the right way, it pays off.
Yeah, it's cool though. I mean, I think that all the records that we love and like some of the records that brought us together are bands like Wilco and Steve Gunn and and stuff that there's surprises hidden in there. It's not just, you know what I mean? It's not straight ahead. Even though it can sound like straight ahead 5-piece rock, it's fun to experiment. And Gift Horse has a ton of weird shit laying around.
Right.
Like weird cheap bongo drums and xylophones and toy pianos and stuff, and so we always tried to like sneak a little bit of that stuff in there.
Yeah, that is cool. I feel like there's something unique about throwing something that's typically not in the average song, just throwing it in there, even if it's just for like half a second. At this studio, Gift Horse, I know you said that you were writing and recording kind of at the same time. When these weird kind of unique instruments pop up, are they usually towards the end of the thing when you got like all the main instruments down, or sometimes do they get in there earlier on and become a theme?
Yeah, they're always late in the game.
I'd say they're always late in the game the majority of the time. There have been a couple of times where we've gone into a session together and we've kind of been knick-knacking with something over here or pulling something from over here and throwing it in, and then we usually just jump back to like the main plan that we had going in, and then we tune that up at the end. So
yeah, I mean everything's written on an acoustic guitar by Reagan or I, so that's usually where we start.
Pretty straightforward going in.
Yeah, sometimes those unique things, when they come in at the end, they like revitalize the song that you've heard a million freaking times that you're starting to get over, and then all of a sudden this new maybe harmonica or something, you're like, oh whoa, just opens up a door to what it could be, and it could open up a door to a bunch of other changes that you didn't see coming. I'm sure in general something like Up to Speed, which took 2 years pretty much to nail down, went through a lot of changes. Can you think of any particular ones that were maybe some breakthrough moments?
Yeah, it was. I mean, when Will and I first started kind of jamming on it, it was a lot slower and it was more of like a ballad. And then it just like over time slowly sped up and became like a more rock and roll thing. And at that time too, Lars and I were getting together and doing a lot of just like guitar sectional practice, just like trying to make sure before we went in the studio, him and I had sort of ironed out what we were going to do, and so that it wouldn't be stepping on each other. And I really had an idea of my head for that record that I wanted the base of all the songs to be a really classic guitar left speaker, guitar right speaker, bass and drums up the middle, and then we would build on top of it from there if we felt like we needed it. But there's a few songs that there's not really, besides percussion, that's all you're hearing really.
We kind of called it guitar rock, I'd say 2.5 years ago when we first started, kind of as a joke, but I think it kind of took that and kind of rolled with it, because I feel like Lars and Taylor's guitar parts are so driving in the songs, and the melodic structure that forms around that is super, super just part of our inherent sound, I think. And that draws from everything that we all listen to as well, so.
Yeah, 100%.
What is interesting is, to me, the sound that you guys have, when I first heard Up to Speed, that was like the first song I heard, I think. And like I was telling Taylor before you got here, Will, that is one of my favorite songs I've heard in a long time from anyone. It's just such a sick vibe. Yeah, of course. And yeah, I was stoked when I heard it. And then I listened to the whole album, and there's definitely a few outliers on the album that really give you guys a new dimension of a sound. And I feel like, songs like If It Ain't You, I wasn't expecting like this furious punk track to come at the end. And even Corner, the last song, is like that synth arpeggio that goes throughout the whole time seems very different compared to the rest of the album, and yet it still works. What was like the ordering process for this album? And especially, like you said, a few songs didn't quite make it. What was that process like?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that as soon as we started recording, we realized that we had other ideas floating around that I think we thought would benefit from taking a more non-traditional approach.
Mm-hmm.
So like Corner, for instance, was a GarageBand demo on Reagan's laptop from when him and I first met in college. Like, he's had that song for 5 years, and that one we knew that we wanted drum machine, and we wanted it to have that sort of arpeggiated, that's a Wurlitzer that's doing that, that's going through a bunch of like a guitar amp and some plugins and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think that we wanted to definitely have, it wasn't thought about super consciously, but I don't ever mind when we're writing if a song is feeling like a real curveball. I think that's definitely an excuse to just chase it all the way down. Because we're almost done with our second record, and there's a lot. It's probably more all over the place, but I like that about us, because it's sort of, this is all of our main writing outlet, and I think we listen to so much different shit and sort of strive to do a lot of different stuff, even though it's going to come across like a rock band live. We kind of in the studio experiment more.
I think you were asking about the question of how we sequenced like the songs in the album from the first record. I think that kind of came about from us just kind of, once we had everything kind of tracked and recorded and mastered and mixed and mastered and everything, we kind of had a few chats like here and there, like, what do you think? How do we feel about this line of songs? We'd near the end of like when we were close to getting ready to release the record, we just kind of had like a final confirmation with everybody, like, does this sound good? Everybody listen through, just see what you think. And I mean, I feel like that was a pretty simple process for us. I think we all knew that, like Taylor just said, like all of the songs, like they have each thing has a different tinge or tone or feeling behind it. But it was kind of more about us forming it in a way that made sense, and so that other people would just get what they get out of it. It wasn't really like I guess, and correct me if I'm wrong, super cohesive like sequencing.
No, it's just like, how would I want to listen to the record back to front if I was going to sit down and listen to it all.
Right. So I hope that can answer that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you do think about how you want to listen to the record, that's probably the most authentic way you can give it to the audience. If you're thinking about, I don't know, I don't know. I mean, there's no wrong way to do it, right? It's just whatever feels right. What's interesting is I would imagine being a 5-piece band and having 5 different opinions about what should be where. How did you guys kind of democratically decide that?
It's an opinionated bunch. Everyone has their things though. Like I think that was something that Reagan and I thought more about.
Yeah. Definitely Taylor and Reagan they're kind of like the head of the hierarchy, but the hierarchy is like it's a democratic republic that we work about.
Yeah.
But Taylor and Reagan are like kind of president, vice president, and we're kind of like the Senate underneath sort of kind.
It's more like, it was all
some
in
checks
all
and
in
balances sometimes.
Yeah, there are. You know, we got to put it all in the group text, and if anybody disagrees, then we'll hear it. We'll hold counsel.
Yeah.
So what is interesting to me is that you guys are all part of different projects. Like, I consider Heffner in some ways maybe like an Athens supergroup. We got guys from different bands, right? Taylor, Reagan from Wander Wild, right? McKendrick Bearden from Grand Rapids, Will Heffner from the Hernies, and then Lars, is that your brother, Will?
Yeah, that's my fraternal twin brother,
Oh, okay, cool. And the article I read, it didn't say if he was in any other bands, but for the most part, you guys are all involved in different projects throughout Athens. How did you guys end up deciding that you were going to get together? Was it a very intentional, like, let's form a group of a bunch of us, or did it gradually happen over time and suddenly we're like, well, maybe we should keep trying to do this?
The remembrance that I have, which was really funny and fun, was one night I was playing a show with, I can't remember the band I was playing with. I think it was my old band McQueen that I was in.
Yeah, or Oki.
Which was from members from Atlanta as well, from Art Contest and former members of other bands. But I was playing a show, and I remember Taylor being at the back, and after I got done, us kind of knowing who each other were and just kind of chatting for a second. And I think from there we like contacted each other and we're like, let's get together and like play some music sometime. And of course I had already seen Wonderwild. I had seen him play before and was like, this guy's really good. So it just kind of happened. I feel like over a short period of time. I don't know, Taylor, you kind of give your side of what happened. I think we just kind of all like met up after that. It was like,
yeah, I mean, it just kind of was like a brainchild idea for a while. Like Reagan and I we were playing a lot in Wonderwild and recording a lot in that band, and then we were just both really writing a lot of songs that we didn't think would really fit for that band. And that band has a better idea of like what it is, and there's a little bit narrower filter there of like what. Not that like Matt or whoever was in the band at the time would not like it, but anyways, I was like, I want a band. I really want Reagan to sing in it. I knew that Will and Lars are a package deal, and everyone knows that. So I knew if I talked Will into it, then Lars would come along. And then McKendrick was a real wild card because he's super busy working as like a producer, sometimes an engineer. But him and I worked at the same bar at the time, bartending, and I asked him like on a whim one day, and he was like, I love that idea. And I was like, okay, oh shit, we have a band.
Yeah, it all just came together, and I just remember getting a text and be like, all right, everybody, we're getting together on this day to practice, and it feels like it was like 2.5 years ago. 3 years ago.
It was like 3 years ago.
God, yeah.
I was like, Will, this is McKendrick. McKendrick, this is Will and Lars.
Yeah.
Getting the group chat started.
Yeah, but I mean, we all hung out at the same. There's like 4 or 5 bars in Athens that like musicians that we're friends with would hang out at regularly, and so like we all knew each other or knew of each other and like had seen each other play a bunch of times. So yeah, it's like it's a super group in the way that there was already like the musical admiration there happening, but it was just more like I was just being super practical about it at the time. I was like, well, this is exactly who I want to be in the band, so
Yeah.
I'm just gonna ask.
Yeah, I mean, you have that really solid foundation of respecting each other's musical prowess already, that it only makes sense in a practical manner if you want to create a band to get the people that you really respect and admire instead of trying to, like, I don't know, just find a bunch of people you don't already know. You know, you might as well just use the resources, and if everybody's down, then just go for it.
Yeah, we're extremely lucky to live in Athens, where there's
Yeah.
just no shortage of amazing players, and everybody's such a good hang, and the scene is already so supportive that it's just like there's really no barriers for entry once you've been here for a while and you've sort of got your foot in the door. There's, you know, everybody plays in each other's bands, and it just sort of works out that way.
Yeah, I'll say I've come to Athens 2 times in the last month to record this EP that I'm working on, and from just those 2 times, everyone who I've met from this has been so open and cool and down to, you know, experiment with whatever music you're doing, and everybody just seems like they're very supportive, like you said. It's wild how many people and how many bands are in this scene. It's just it makes me excited to, like, because I live in Atlanta, so I'm so close. And you know, I've already met some people that have been like really cool. Like Gideon Johnston is one guy I always mention on
Yeah,
drums.
definitely.
He's a freak.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
And-
he's played a couple shows with
He's
us.
filled in for me when I've been out with New Madrid a
Yeah,
couple
Will
times.
plays with New Madrid right
Oh,
now.
hell
so
yeah. Very cool. And then like shout out Cannon the Boxes. Cannon, like,
Yeah.
definitely
he did some slide on mine,
Oh,
and then
dude. Incredible. One of my favorite guitar players.
For sure.
yeah,
Love watching Cannon play.
he's so funny because he came in and he took one pass at the song, having like never heard it, and at the end of it he's like, yeah, you know, maybe something like that. I don't know. I wish I was like actually good at slide. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, this is fucking nuts.
The cool thing to me about it is that there's also always like an evolving, like a cycle of like younger talent and talent that is just like evolved. Like even like guys like us who are, you know, in our mid to late 20s, early 30s, of course, McKendrick, but like
Damn,
I feel
called
like
out.
I'm like, yeah, you
dude.
just threw him under the bus right there.
No call out. We're all still young. We're all decently young, but I just think like there's a lot of talent that's coming up that is like also awesome to be a part of, to have people that are slightly younger and that are just like shredding it and like pushing you to become better and better at like your craft and your skill set. So that's
it's
also
sick. It's like we go to the college bands shows to check it out, and they
Yeah.
come to our shows to check it out, and like
Right.
everybody ends up meeting each other and working on each other's records and playing on each other's records,
Mhm.
and we always try to have like a revolving cast in the studio
For sure.
of just friends come through and play, even if it's 30 seconds of guitar on the second chorus or whatever. It's like
Right.
I really just want to like spread the love, because that's people did that for me when I was younger, and when
Yeah.
I was less confident in my playing and
Yeah, same
feeling
here.
socially a little more wigged out about like being around like older people in the scene or whatever. But like people that would ask me to play live with them or like play on their records or whatever, that sort of like that was a massive step towards like making our own band and trying to do it, you know what I mean, ourselves.
Mhm.
What would you say is 1 or 2 really important things that make a thriving music scene like Athens? Because it's certainly not a big city. I mean, it's a bigger town, and it's a college town, obviously. But what would you say are like some really key attributes to a really thriving music scene?
I think something that's not talked about a bunch is affordable studio time.
Yeah.
And we have that here. Jesse Mangum at the Glow, Alec and Steven and Matt at Gift Horse. There are tons of our friends that have amazing home studios that are making incredible sounding records. Tommy Troutwine, his band's called Well Kept, and he plays in Wanderwild now too. We record a lot at Tweed, which is like it's like a recording academy school type thing that got built downtown.
Right.
And one of our really good friends, Nate, who's recorded our entire second record, he works there. But like Tweed, they just give away recording time for bands for the students to learn. So like we've done several days there, and a lot of our friends' bands have done like several days in a row there of tracking half of a record for free, which is insane. And then even like if we want to step up a little bit, Chase Park Transduction is like the most amazing studio ever, and Wanderwild's recorded there a lot, and a few of our really close friends engineer there. We mixed our last record there. So honestly, it's like accessibility, I think, is like the number one thing. So like we have studios that are like well within reach. There's just there's like a pervasive attitude in this scene that is like everyone is so supportive, and there's so much diversity in the scene, but the scene is small enough to where everyone supports each other. There's not like you know what I mean? I don't feel like there's a punk rock hardcore scene over here and a folk rock scene over here and a synth pop scene over here. Like all of those things are in the same world here, and I think that goes a long way.
Yeah, it seems to be like it's not too big, right? It's like, sounds so lame. It's like Goldilocks, like not too small, not too big. Like it's that perfect.
No, that's
perfect
it though.
size.
It's like when I hang out in Atlanta, you know, I'm always like, I feel like when I'm hanging out there, I'm like I'm in a scene, but it feels like a microcosm of something that's like way bigger with more moving parts, and I don't know, it's a little bit more like intimidating. I feel like it is like a little bit more, I don't think anyone's necessarily like gatekeeping anything there or anything like that, but I think it's just also like simply the cost of living is higher in Atlanta, and it's just like harder to, it's very easy in Athens to just spend a lot of time doing what you want to do. And I think that's really attractive to all the people that play music here.
Yeah, that was a really interesting thing about, affordable studio time. That trickles down to affordable everything, obviously. But yeah, shout out to Patrick Doherty from Canary Affair, who's doing mine at Racket Recording. Like, so I mean, I just named one. You named about 7 or 8 studios that are all relatively affordable. That's just such an accessible, beautiful thing. You love to hear that about its own, a little town. It's not little, it's a medium-sized town. But it just, from my couple of times being there, everybody's been very nice. Everyone's so talented too, which is crazy. And everyone knows each other for the most part.
Oh yeah, everybody knows each other.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I think about it all the time. It's just like kind of like the weird butterfly effect thing of like we would have never been the 5 of us without us being in Athens, and we all came to Athens in the most random ways too. It's just kind of it's crazy to think about.
That's
and we've all
true.
stayed here long enough because it's easy to be here.
Yeah. Going back to your self-titled debut album, I always like asking this question: what is a song on that album, or maybe before that, it doesn't matter, that you're the most proud of?
Ooh,
That's a really good question.
I mean, I listen to What It Is to Be Human a lot,
I was just
and
to say that might be.
yeah, we all played on that, and it was just like a huge group effort, and it also was one of the more fun
It was, yeah.
days that we had in the studio. It was a really long day, and it was really late at night when we finished, and we all were there to like sit down and listen to it back and just sort of like had a little toast.
I remember that one felt really good. That's one of the ones I remember right off the tip of my head that just felt really good once we all had been there to do it. And it was a long day, late night. We all had like a little mini toast. It was really sweet, and like, yeah, we all just felt really good. I remember that one being one that I walked into the studio, I think knocked that one out in a few takes, and then was like, that's
having
it.
not heard the song either.
Yeah, having not heard the song, and was like, that's it, perfect.
Yeah, that's great.
So that felt awesome.
That's so cool. And everything you just described, like that communal feeling, being productive all together and enjoying your time together while you're creating something that means a lot to you. That is, in a way, what it means to be human. And it's funny that the name of the song is exactly that.
Yeah,
Totally.
I never thought about it that way,
Yeah,
but
I'd neither.
yeah, you're right. It's like a little Disney moment for us.
Yeah, definitely Disney, very cosmic, everything coming back. Uh,
Alec would appreciate that, yeah.
I feel like one for me that made me laugh that I really love is what is it? I have it written. Golden Hour. That
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
like the way it started out with like that classic creepy DM from every amateur dude photographer to every like attractive girl that he knows. It's just like so gross.
Yeah, that's how that song was supposed to be received. And it's how it has been, but I'm not going to lie, we were kind of worried about that one. I was like, this feels like if you don't know it's a joke, it could be really creepy.
Yeah, I could see that. I definitely could see that. You took a risk though.
Yeah, we took a risk. And like when Reagan and I wrote that, we were so amused by it that I was like, we have to record it, because if I think it's hilarious and you think it's hilarious and the band played on it and it came out better than I even thought it would, I was like, well, I think people will get it. And I listen to that song all the time.
I love the chorus with like, it's not porn if it's art. It's like that's so like this dude's vibe, and like we all know of those types, and I think you just nailed that DM, like the way you wrote that DM. Did you steal it from a real guy, or did he just kind of write that?
No, we wrote it in the studio late one night, just being stupid or whatever. But I don't think it's not so much like a call out song of any one person.
Right.
It's just like it's frankly just like an amusing social media behavior that like was really that we were observing a lot of at the time, because we wrote that a couple years ago. So Reagan and I were 24, so it was like, yeah, what girlfriend do we have that has not been hit up in the creepiest way on Instagram about some guy wanting to take boob pics,
Right, for art, of course.
Yeah, for art. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. We could go on for a long time about that one, but just know it's supposed to be funny and whatever.
Yeah, I was definitely laughing listening to it because you just hit the nail so hard on the head. I do want to ask about one thing, because I didn't know you had a new album that you're working on. In terms of this new album compared to the previous, what would you say is some of the lessons that you learned from the first album that you took in with you into the new one that was like imperative? Like, oh, we have to try this again because this worked.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good way to phrase that too, because there's nothing that we did about the first one that I would change. Like we loved making it, so we just like sort of brought our favorite things about making that one into this new one, which is the same thing of like having a rotating cast of friends come on to sing on it, play guitar on it, play keyboards on it, or whatever. We've been making it the same way too, like one day a week in the studio for several months now.
I think the big thing that I've taken away too from just us as a band and like working together is our style of like working on songs and like making them finalized in a way, I would say, is like focusing on one task, like one song, and then finishing it like almost completely and then moving to the next. Because like, I mean, I know in past projects that I've been in and stuff, like I know that we focused on a slew of songs and then been on one day working on this one, on another day working on this one, and then like those like never really got totally finished. But like I feel like Heffner has taken like a priority based approach and like, okay, if we have a song, boom, we're gonna knock this one out and just be like done with it. So if we want to pull from it, it's like, okay, this is a completed Lego set, let's put it out here. Do we want to do anything with it from here on out? So that's been super, in my eyes, a super big, not lesson, but just like priority I think we took from the first record and have continued into the second.
Yeah, I think we've gotten better at it too.
Yeah.
And I like that 1 day a week schedule because it means that we like rehearse a couple days the week before we go in to record the song. We just get together for a few hours a couple days in a row and like just play that song over and over, and everybody's like, we're changing instruments around and everybody's just like, what is going to serve this song the best? Like, what is everybody truly going to be able to add like the most to? And then when we go in there and do it, it's cool because like that song's been in everyone's head for a week, and then we get to just like wash our hands of it, and then we start again the next week.
That's very interesting. I feel like a lot of people I've talked to, and my experience in the last year or so has been almost the opposite, where I will do whatever 3-4 songs, and because I know that that's what's going to be on the EP. And for me, it's been nice to do the drums for all of it with like the scratch track, and then you add the bass, and then you do the real guitar, and then keys and vocals and what have you, right? And to me, it's almost like watching everything like grow together. What sucks is that is more of a patient process.
Yeah. It can feel intimidating.
Yes, absolutely. Because as soon as you start getting somewhere with one, you're like, all right, on to the next, and you're kind of like, all right, I feel like we're hitting a vibe. But
and then like if you take one all the way, the rest of them start to sound not as good.
Right. That's what I was gonna say.
That can be cool though too, because you can like play catch up with them or whatever. But I mean, I really like I've also like since our first record, we've gotten a lot quicker about the time between a song is written and when we record it.
Yeah, it's really streamlined. It's become streamlined.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know, there's something about like it being freshly written and everyone's parts being freshly written, and then we get right in the studio and do it. There's something about that's like really helped. That's really helped us. I think that part of it is just like we're rehearsing it, we're making it feel as good as we can in our rehearsal space, and then once we get into the studio though, it's sort of like we rethink it for a minute. How do we want to approach it? And then it's just like, how do we get how it felt in the rehearsal space? And that might not be like the way that we were playing it there, but it's just like that feeling of like the last couple times we played it, it felt really good, and everyone can agree on that. But then in the studio, it might be like, oh, well, we've actually been playing it way too fast. Maybe there don't need to be any guitars in this section or whatever, you know? And that's something that McKendrick helps us a lot with, because he has a ton of experience, like truly sort of old school style producing records. And he thinks about things in a much different way. He has a composition degree, so like he's written strings for songs and stuff like that.
Oh wow, that's sick. That's a nice little thing to have in your corner right there.
Oh, he's ace in the hole, dude.
Yeah.
I'm saying he's trick up the sleeve.
I would imagine that part of the reason why your process is streamlined in terms of recording and writing and all that is because the communication between you guys have all grown probably considerably over the course of 2 or 3 years, whereas something like Up to Speed took 2 years to do. Maybe now it would take you 2 weeks, if that.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
That's how it would be. And like now we sort of have our routines and stuff now, and they're good ones. So yeah, no, you're definitely right. I mean, there's only a couple songs on this second record that are more than a few months old.
Right.
Wow, that's awesome.
It's like we've got like fresh paint, and we're just painting every canvas that we can get our hands on, and it's really Reagan and Taylor. I mean, I always joked from the beginning and said they were like Keith Richards and Mick Jagger, or any of the other like famous like duos. Like they just like the songs just like fall out of them, it feels like. And
yeah, it's like a Lennon-McCartney thing. We write together a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we rarely will. Reagan more so than I will like finish a whole song.
Yeah.
But I like that too, because then he's he's a lot less involved on the production side of things. So like, I'll hear it with new ears and then like steer the ship when we're recording it, type thing. But I almost never finish one all the way through without Reagan's help. And then we bring it to the band, and then everyone, it's just sort of like all systems go.
Yeah, I like
sort of
how
thing.
Taylor mentioned the Beatles right after I mentioned the Stones. It shows where our allegiances lie in that question.
Well, I am reading Keith Richards' book right now. It's amazing.
I've heard it's a pretty amazing book. Like, it's insane.
It is incredible. It is absolutely insane.
Oh, the Keith Richards documentary or
his book.
biography.
It's called Life. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I've read that one.
It is so good, and I'm kind of nerdy about rock doc stuff. And it's incredible. It's right up there with the Dirt, with the Motley Crue, autobio.
I'd say it's better than the Dirt.
It's unarguably, yes, it's better, but it's
I wasn't expecting Motley Crue, I'll be honest. That kind of took me by surprise right now.
I love that band.
That's funny.
Lars and I are the only ones that get down with some 80s glam stuff.
I had a couple Motley Crue records when I was in my early teens, and still do. But yeah, it's been a little while. But I do dig some of the stuff. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, and they have their issues and whatnot, but it also just rocks.
I gotta, give the shout out to Kickstart My Heart. That's a great song.
Great song, dude. Incredible song.
I can't name really any others, but that one slaps. I'm not gonna lie.
It's a slapper, indeed.
Yep, that's my sound check riff, actually.
Oh, hell yeah. I love that. The one rock doc that always comes to mind, that's my favorite, and I guess isn't exactly like controversial because everyone knows and loves it that's seen it, but it's Wilco's Yankee Hotel Foxtrot.
Like the making of.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Absolutely unreal.
I actually still haven't seen it, but McKendrick has it on DVD.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, he's been telling me he'll loan it to me for forever now. I need to get it.
I need to watch that too. It's my favorite record by them, for sure.
Yeah, we were actually recording at Nate, our friend who works at Tweed. He's an instructor there, and he's sort of like, we have a handshake deal with him to just sort of record as much as we can into forever. And he has all the Wilco books at his house, and we were looking through it last night, and on like the third page there's a little, I'm about to out Austin so hard in Grand Rapids. On the third page there's like, it's like out of Jeff Tweedy's notebooks, and it says like first lines to start songs with, and the first one says, "Don't speak to me in obscurities." And I've been playing bass in Grand Rapids for a couple years now, and like my favorite Grand Rapids song, Austin says, "Don't speak in obscurities," the first line, and I sent him a picture, and I was like, I got you, dude. And he sent back the little champagne bottle emoji.
Dude, you gotta steal, man. Sometimes you just gotta like steal some shit. Most people,
it's all lifted. I'm a firm believer, and we are not. Yeah. I would never ever claim to be reinventing a Matchbox wheel. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's why it's funny when people be like, "Oh, that sounds a little too much like this," and it's like, well, maybe everything sounds a little bit like everything because we're all subconsciously listening to so many different things. What's best to me is when you listen to so many different kinds of things that you have so many different influences to pull from and use, just like, a nice dinner. If it's got a bunch of ingredients,
absolutely.
Sometimes that's the best because you have all these things you're pulling from. Now, of course, maybe that gets riskier because maybe you'll make a shitty meal with too many things.
Yeah, right. But
you gotta try it. You gotta try different things.
Yeah. We don't want to throw my Celtic folk.
Yeah, Will's really into
Heffner because that would be too like pub worthy.
You never know though.
You never know. I mean, we could turn out like Dropkick Murphys with like a banger of a song.
Are you into some sea shanties?
I do. I like the occasional Celtic sea shanty.
That's hilarious.
So.
Yeah, that's actually something too that we've gotten a lot better at with this record, and just in general, is that we used to, like, Reagan and I always used to show up to a session with like a lot of reference tracks. Like, we really want this to sound like this record, this song. Like, the guitars aren't sounding enough like this, or like the drums need to be hitting harder like this song. Let me show you this. And we've kind of stopped doing that altogether, because I think it was, even if it wasn't hurting us, it at least was just sort of wasting time sometimes. And we would usually end up changing it back, I feel like. Be like, well, it was cool already, and now we're just like forcing it to be something that it doesn't really want to be.
Yeah, I think there's definitely value in having reference tracks, but they're also, just like everything, it can be a crutch if you're too reliant on it.
Yeah, and we definitely were. It's more like, now, like, if we pull up a reference track, I'll play like 2 seconds of it. And I'll be like, do you hear this stupid like EDM bass drop thing that's happening here? I want that. But I don't want anything else about this.
Right. Well, that's helpful. You know, it can be absolutely helpful.
Like specific sounds, yeah.
Right. Well, that's going to take us over to the last 5 here, where I'm just going to ask you guys 5 quick questions, and we'll be out.
Okay, great.
Cool.
All right. Number 1, in the studio or playing live?
In the studio.
Ooh, playing live.
A house divided.
That's good, though.
Yeah, that is good. What about each of those do you like the most?
I just feel like it's funny. In Keith Richards' book, he talks about, like, when he was in the studio, he would always stay up for like 5 days at a time. And I think that if I had one other person that would do that with me when we're making Heffner songs, I would 1,000% do that. I never want to leave. I turn my phone off. Like, everything else in the world just completely goes away. And it's like, I don't know. I guess it's just like a creativity thing. It just feels good.
Taylor turns into a machine in the studio, and you can't really. He is always computing, and it's almost like you can like touch him, but he's just not. He's just not there. He's totally focused in on the studio, which is a perfect and wonderful reason why. Part of why our studio stuff goes so smoothly. I think my live, the reason I like live shows more is just because I just thrive in I think every musician does, but I particularly just thrive in a like setting where I'm playing for other people, and just like feeling that energy and getting hyped up and doing it in like person, to me, is like the most exhilarating feeling. I think also just playing drums and like shredding a drum part live, you're just like, oh yeah, you know?
Definitely.
And seeing people's reaction, you're like, yeah, this is why I'm doing this.
Absolutely.
People like this.
I love asking that question because it really is pretty 50-50 with everyone I ask. Because they're totally different energies.
Yeah.
1,000%.
For
yeah.
sure.
Like, I don't know. There's something about just like feeling so insulated with all of us in the studio, and just like I just 100% trust everyone that's there. And not that I don't always feel that way at shows, but I don't know. There's something about it where like it feels like we're in our own terrarium, and I love it there. It's safe there.
Yeah, terrarium. That's a great word for it, actually. Question number 2 is, what do you think is a perfect album front to back?
Oh,
like just anybody's album front to back?
Yeah, and you can name a few. You don't have to name one.
Okay, I've got one that came out in 2020. It's God.
Heffner's debut album.
Yeah,
that was 2021. My bad.
That was 2021. You almost got us there, though.
Right, I didn't want to.
That record is, I can assure you, not perfect front to
Okay,
back.
so I think this record that I've been listening to recently is Cutworm's "Nobody Lives Here Anymore."
That's a great record.
Cutworm sounds familiar, but I don't really know them.
They're cool. They're like throwback, like 60s psych Americana thing.
Yeah, it's this singular guy that writes all the songs and has a band that he plays, but it's just an amazing album. Nobody Lives Here Anymore.
It's great.
I'm looking it up right now, so I don't forget.
Let's see. I'll be very predictable here, but all the things that come to the top of my head are the Strokes' first 2 records.
Yep.
Hot Fuss, The Killers. Let's see. Anak Ko by J Som is one of my favorite records.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I haven't heard that in a little bit.
Front to back, so incredible. Such a headphones record.
I've got one, The Laws.
The Laws,
Just The Laws,
I agree with
self-titled.
you.
Yeah.
The Laws self-titled with There She Goes on it.
Yeah, it's just one of the best ones ever.
I had somebody say that album as well, like a few months ago.
That
But I-
record's incredible. I would say I'm trying to think about what I've been listening to, but I've been listening to so many things like so piecemeal. I haven't been really listening to much front to back stuff.
We're in the age of Spotify now, so when I have records, I'm like, ooh, Spotify, and then I'm like, wait, I want to play this record.
100%. Reagan will be pissed he wasn't here. He's definitely more of a there's like he's listening to a record front to back every time I'm over at his house.
What do you think he would say?
I'm sure he would pick an Alex G record.
Nice. I saw him in Athens, like in October.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, we were all working that night.
Oh, I think the thing that I got back into recently is just an amazing record front to back is the Love record from Amen Dunes.
Oh, dude. Absolutely. That record's perfect.
Yeah, I think that's one of my favorites.
Except I skipped the small boy talking intro usually.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
What's it called? What's the guy's name? I'm gonna.
Amen Dunes.
Amen Dunes.
Then also that Freedom record from him is brilliant. Actually, the Freedom record.
Freedom's perfect.
The Freedom record might be better than the Love
That's
record.
the one I was thinking of, yeah.
What was the one you were talking about?
It's just called Love.
Oh, Love. Yeah.
From 2014, but I remember that one coming out, and I bought the record and loved it, and I rediscovered it literally this past week. So
Nice. Giving me some good stuff to check out here, and I haven't really heard of any of them other than like the Strokes ones and the Killers. But yeah, those are classics. And what's funny is even some of my favorite albums ever, it's hard to say they're perfect front to back because you have to include every song. Like I love Wilco's Yankee Hotel Foxtrot, but I'm always down to skip Radio Cures.
Yeah, I was thinking about multiple Wilco records, and I'm like, there are a couple skip tracks for me. It's not even that I don't like them; it's just that they don't always do it for me.
Right.
Oh, I would be remiss to not say Aha Shake Heartbreak.
Oh yeah.
Kings of Leon's second record.
I remember buying that when it.
Yeah, I think that could be the most.
Long time ago.
That could be the most glowed down of all bands, maybe in history.
What do you mean? Just over the years?
Yeah. I think I can't think of a worse band now, but I can't think of a better record than. And I know that's like a stupid crotchety thing to say, but
Hey, it happens, man. It happens to a lot of bands. Those first two. Well, I'll be honest. I haven't heard that one, the Aha Shakedown. But I loved their first one.
Youth and Young Manhood.
Yeah, I used to listen to it constantly, like 4 years ago.
The record's perfect, yeah. That's how I learned guitar, was playing along to those.
Nice. I had some hope for them when they put out Super Soaker.
Yeah, I loved that single,
that song and nothing else after.
Yeah, I think that was on Mechanical Bull.
The
rest of that record was kind of not all that good. I loved it at the time, but it's just funny. Like none of it aged well for me, except for those first two.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard that Arctic Monkeys record, the newer one, Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino?
Yeah, what's your opinion on it?
I think it's perfect.
Ooh, yeah, that's a controversial one.
Yeah, I actually did not like that record when I first heard it, and it was the biggest grower.
I think your computer's getting close.
It's so good. Oh yeah, we are getting close. Let's blitz through.
Close to what?
I'm on 1%.
oh, blitz through. All right. Dream artist, producer to work with.
Ooh. Oh, I got it. Can I say?
Yeah, say.
Damon Albarn.
Damon Albarn.
Yeah, Damon Albarn, yeah.
Nice. Got super controversial recently, but we'll blow past it.
Yeah, but we'll blow past it.
The Taylor Swift thing, but all right. Anyway.
Yes, indeed.
Damon Albarn.
Yes.
Although we're not, I know that he's been got some bad press lately, but I don't know exactly what for.
Oh, really? You hadn't heard?
No.
He basically just said like Taylor Swift doesn't write her own songs, which was a very bold thing to say.
And not all that true, right?
Yeah, I mean it's not true at
I
all
don't
if he
think.
writes all of her own songs.
Yeah.
But he since apologized for it, and he said it was like what's the word, like taking things out of context. So
Right.
I don't know. That's literally all I know. Not taking anyone's side. I think if he really meant it, that's pretty fucked up because you couldn't have picked a worse person to say that about. Like I think everyone knows she writes her own songs, but
that's an easy way to make tens of millions of people really upset with you.
Yeah, he also just released a record that I love, and so I hope that didn't decrease his chances of his record selling or being listened to. So
well, I think any press is good press. That's not always true, but I don't think it'll hurt his record.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been around so long. I don't see him really going anywhere.
Yeah, he's kind of a mainstay, I think, in that British musician community and also internationally. So
yeah, I think in a dream scenario, I would like to make a record with all the people that we've made our first and second record with, but I would love to be able to pay everybody to go away and make it somewhere else for like a few months.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so let me just link those two things together. So Damon Albarn just went to Iceland for like 7 months or whatever and recorded with literally exactly doing what you just said, which is like take all the people we work with. Like, where would you want to go?
Anywhere, somewhere warm, obviously.
Somewhere warm.
No, but I mean, that my dream scenario is like all of these people that help us make our music. Nobody has anything to worry about other than making music. And Wanderwild has done some more like recording retreat kind of stuff, like little cabin in the mountains type stuff, and bring up a little mobile rig, and they're just amazing. And I think it's just because like I get off so hard on that like insular feeling of recording that like to just amplify that and just really not have to worry about anything else and just get to like everyone focus on that and everyone like relax and everyone's taken care of. That's like 1,000% my dream scenario. Like if we were to ever sign a record deal with like a record advance, that's 1,000% how we would do it. I can't think of anyone that like I would rather have. I mean, if Damon Albarn was there, I wouldn't mind, but
if he wants to come, then maybe we'll see.
Yeah, but
I mean, pick him out, but
yeah, I would love to bring Alec back, and I would love to take Nate, and love for Matt to be there.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I also second that. I didn't think about that, to be honest. My brain just went to the first. But yeah, that's really thoughtful, Taylor.
That is the first time anyone's ever said that answer, and I really like that.
Yeah.
I've thought about that a lot, so.
It would be really cool to take all the people that you trust, that you work with, that you just have a good time recording music with, and turning it into this sort of vacation or like workcation kind of situation.
Exactly.
God, that would be,
And like just all the like
amazing.
Because I'm so nerdy about like rock doc stuff, that's just like how records used to get made. It's like like, you know what I mean? Rolling Stones would go to Paris for 8 months.
Yeah.
8 months, and that's all they had to do was like build a studio in a basement and hang out, and you know what I mean? You're either recording or you're at the bar or you're on the beach or whatever.
Yeah, they lived with their bandmates and their loved ones and their most trusted studio people, and that was their life.
Like a bohemian experience.
It's a literal dream. Yeah, it's a dream experience.
Yeah, I think about the first one that comes to mind is you two going to Joshua Tree and recording Joshua Tree. And like that would be so sick for me personally, because I've been to Joshua Tree twice, and it is like the most expansive place you can really imagine. Like you just see so far ahead, and it's huge. And that feeling, maybe being in like a 2-story house in the middle of nowhere, like nothing around you, and just with your best buds and like creating something amazing at any hour of the day without worrying about noise, being able to step outside and suddenly you can see all the stars. There's no one around you to bother you or for you to bother, and just like have this. I mean, there's something about being in a new place in general that your brain just works differently.
Yeah, it works better. Yeah, Jason made a lot of that record in Joshua Tree.
Yeah.
Oh, no way. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they like rented a house in Joshua Tree for a while and did all the basics for it.
Very sick. Is that do they have the song Ghost Bike? Is that what it's called?
I
On
don't
that
think
album?
I don't think that one's on that record. I think it was a single like right after that record or something like that.
Oh, okay.
I think this chat right here is a good placeholder for us to come back and go, you know what? Maybe we should do this at some point.
Yeah, exactly.
Once we
You're
get
right.
like all of our, once we're like moving,
Yeah, we will.
At some
I mean, we're
point or
already
another.
talking to Nate about.
Yeah.
I mean, our third record's already pretty much written.
Wow.
So
Well, I didn't know that, so that's a surprise on this podcast.
Little PSA.
yeah, a little PSA.
There we
So
go.
yeah, we're talking to Nate about doing something late summer, like a longer chunk of time, and ditching this one day, once a week or every other week type thing that we've been doing for a long time, and like actually getting everybody in one place and
Yeah.
and getting like a larger chunk of it done
That
in
would
one
be-
place, and it's sounding like that one place, and I like the idea of that.
I feel like a kid with a teacher that has just said, we're passing out field trip forms next week. I'm like, let's go.
That's amazing. Yeah, I would love to hear about wherever you end up deciding to go. I mean, the world is your oyster.
Yeah, to a certain extent.
Yeah. And I looked it up. It's Superbike, not Ghost Bike.
Superbike, yeah,
Superbike,
that's on that
yeah.
record.
Yeah, that song slaps. I haven't heard it in forever, so I'm probably going to listen to it right after.
Yeah, dude, put on your headphones. That record's amazing.
Yeah. Question number 4 here. What's on your musical rotation right now?
We're listening to.
Well, right, I can tell you right now, you mean as a band or like just individually? Or?
Individually or as a band?
For me, what I'm listening to is Amon Dunes, Cutworms.
What'd you play us in the space?
Oh goodness, what did I play in the space?
I don't know, heady guy, rock songs
Goodness, I'm not sure.
with Lars and I.
When we recorded?
No, in the rehearsal space the other day.
Oh, rehearsals. Oh, Westerman. Oh my God, Westerman. Yeah.
Westerman.
Westerman.
That
yeah.
sounds familiar.
It's really sick.
It's this guy named
I'd
Will.
never heard it.
Will Westerman. Or I guess his thing is pronounced Westerman. Westerman. One word.
Yeah, I see.
That has been in rotation for sure. Wonderful record he just released, I believe. Like last year or maybe last year or the year before, something like that.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of music at work, so things that I work at an oyster bar called Sea Bear. You should come next time you're in
when
Athens.
I went to Alex G, me and my girlfriend, shout out to Erin, she's gonna be listening to this probably. We went to Sea Bear, and
Sick.
it was fucking awesome.
That's great, man. Hell yeah, I love that.
We got the mussels and I got some whitefish. I don't know. It was
Love it.
fantastic. That place
That's
is
great.
really, really good.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah,
It's an
that's
incredible place to work
Awesome
too.
spot.
But yeah, bartenders have carte blanche there with what we play. So I've been listening to a lot of Brooks and Dunn, a lot of
Yeah.
Cocteau Twins.
Whoa, those couldn't be like further on the spectrum from each other.
No, but this is like, we're just going for vibes at work. So like,
Yeah. Cocktail Twins is sick.
been listening to a lot of Doja Cat. Been listening to
I've got a couple.
that Amon Dunes record that Will mentioned.
Yeah. The Mariahs, the band The Mariahs.
I think is it the Marias?
The Marias.
Or excuse me, Marias. Yeah, sorry, I was thinking of Mariah Carey. The Marias, yes. And then also, God, there was another thing I've been like nonstop playing. Let me find it and I'll tell you. The Cure album, The Head on the Door.
Okay. That's one of those bands I need to get into.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that
Incredible.
earlier, and then the last one I'll say is been listening to Isaiah Rashad a lot, but also this band called Rosie Plain or Rosie Plain.
I haven't heard of
Anything
them.
about them?
But they're very kind of obscure. I believe they're from London, but also the band Jungle. If you guys have never listened to the band Jungle,
A
you
little
should
bit.
check them.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
Yeah,
They have
Lars.
the album Casio.
Yeah,
I think so,
for
yeah.
sure. Yeah, that's one of theirs. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, Lars showed me Slow Tie the other
Oh
day,
Slow Tie, yeah.
and I'd never heard it, and it's fucking awesome. I've been driving around just
Slayford
blaring it.
Slayford Mods is a great duo piece as well.
Yeah, we listened to a lot of Blur in the van.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
Reagan showed
truly.
me this amazing record. I think it's self-titled. It's a New Orleans band. It's called Video Age.
Oh, Video Age is awesome. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It-
they're
it's
from
not-
New Orleans.
Yeah, they're from New
I
Orleans,
didn't know
and
they were
it's
from New Orleans.
it's not
Oh.
self-titled. I think the record is called Pleasure Line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's also a song on that record, but that record is really cool all the way through.
Video Age is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, they've got a cool sound. It reminds me of like it's not metronomy, but kind of a little bit.
Yeah, definitely a little bit like that.
I was thinking of a different band, but it still kind of does sound like metronomy.
Yeah, it's like nostalgia, quirky pop.
Yeah, their Pop
Yeah.
Therapy album from 2018 was like, I remember when that first came out. I had a friend from Jackson, Mississippi tell me about them, which actually makes a lot of sense that they're from New Orleans.
Yeah.
My buddy booked them for a show in Jackson, Mississippi at Dueling Hall. That's how I know them, yes.
Gotcha.
They're
That's
right down
sick.
the road, so
Yeah, you guys got a healthy mix of everything in there.
yeah.
Yeah, we share a lot of music with each other.
We all
for
just
sure.
kind of have random backgrounds of how we met and also where our musical tastes all came from. I think they all just like, we threw them into this mishmash and just boiled it, and that's what Heffner became. So
Yeah. Do you guys like Innerwave?
Interwave.
Interwave?
Innerwave.
Like INNER wave?
Yes.
I don't know.
I've heard.
All right. Well, you're gonna love them because that's
Okay,
my
sick.
suggestion for you. When I first heard Up to Speed, that was my first thought. Was
Okay, sick.
This reminds me of Innerwave, who I'm going to see this Sunday, actually live in Atlanta. So I'm really stoked about that. They are amazing. I would say, I mean, their albums are great, but I feel like they just have a lot of amazing songs as an album. Sometimes, like, there's a couple songs on an album I don't really care as much about.
Sure.
But if I'm going to recommend a single song, Bower, that song by them is what I thought of when I heard Up to Speed. And so, yeah, check out that one. And also Rose. Rose is a great one.
Okay.
Rose.
Really anything. You might have heard American Spirits before because that one was like their biggest one for a long time. I don't know if it is now, but yeah, I'll recommend Bauer and Rose, and the rest is up to you guys.
Cool.
Yeah, we will definitely check that out. That's
Yeah,
cool.
Thanks for the suggestion.
Yeah, let me know what you think after you check it out because it's a great song.
Sweet.
Will do. Yeah.
And then the last question here before we're out is, what's your favorite decade of music?
Favorite decade of music.
Oh no.
Yeah, y'all are so over the place. Like, it's gonna be hard to pick just one.
Yeah, I mean, I would say aughts or 70s for me.
Yeah.
It's good. I'm gonna go with 90s, 2010s.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I usually say 2010s as well. But,
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's a little bias since you kind of grow up in that era and you just soak it all in.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
is. There is, definitely.
But I would definitely say 70s is my other answer.
Yeah.
But if we're getting real specific, and I only do this because some guests have said this, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. It would be like 67 to 77. or
I was
something
I
like
was just
that.
gonna say though, but like all of my all the Birds and like Flying Burrito Brothers and Eagles and all the like late 60s
Steve
shit
Miller
that
Band.
I love would get excluded. So
Exactly. But so really a decade can still be 10 years. You get to pick the 10 years.
Yeah,
Ooh,
it would be
yeah.
like 68 to 78 for me,
Yeah.
probably.
Oh God, yeah. I don't know if I can be that specific. I'll stick with the generalized.
Yeah, no, they're both great answers. There is no wrong answer for sure.
Right.
But yeah, guys, Heffner, that's the end of our episode. Thank you for joining me, Taylor and Will from Heffner. It's been amazing talking with you, getting to know your creative process, just nerding out about music together. It's always my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, dude. Thanks so
Absolutely.
much for having us. Let us
Yeah.
know when you're back in Athens and we're going to get a beer or something.
Yeah,
Let's
let us
do it.
know.
I will be back February 6th to record like vocals, getting some clarinet in there actually.
Sick.
And yeah, but I'll be there most of the day. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, we should absolutely do something. And I'll be back even after that. So if that doesn't work, no worries. But February 6th, if you guys are free, let's do something.
Yeah, we are. Yeah,
sounds
yeah.
good.
Say hey to Patrick for us.
Yeah,
I
say
will.
hello. Thanks for the chat.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for joining me, guys. I'll talk to you later. Everybody go
Cool,
check
man.
out the new album or the debut album last year. Also, do you have any shows you want to promote while you're here?
Yeah, we're playing the Lewis Room in Athens on February 25th with Low Talker and T. Hardy Morris.
Hell yeah.
And we also have a show at 529 in Atlanta on March 31st.
Oh, sick. Cool.
Yep.
I would love to come to that one. I've never been to the 529.
It's great, dude. I love it.
That's awesome, yeah.
Nice. Well, good stuff. Heffner, thank you again for joining me. I will see y'all soon.
Cool, man. See you,
Cheers.
Parker.
See ya. Bye.
Anyways, man, how have you been? Sorry.
Thank you again for joining me for another episode of On That Note with Parker Whirling. If you haven't yet, please make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and Apple Podcasts, and you can even leave a comment down below to let me know who you're listening to. On that note, I'll see you guys next time.
You come by